So good day, sir. Good day, everyone. For today's topic, it is about the genre analysis. And this is the third type of this course analysis. And by the way, I am Meryl Eve P. Gagno together with my co-members, and later on, they will introduce themselves. So now, what is a genre analysis? So genre analysis, it is a way of studying different types of text or communicative styles, which are called genres. So example of genres are news article, email, stories, or advertisements. And by doing genre analysis, you should take note its structures, purposes, audiences, and conventions. And the next slide, the reporter will explain to you the aims of genre analysis.
Now let's talk about the aim of genre analysis. Genre analysis is a way of looking at the text and communication event by exploring their common traits and how these traits relate to the social settings they came from. Instead of just sorting text into categories, it focuses on how text connect with its author and the audience and its purpose. The main goal of genre analysis is to figure out how various kinds of text work in their particular social and cultural settings. This means looking for patterns and define each genre, which help to separate it from others. To grasp how text operate, we need to spot the pattern and rules that set one genre apart from another. These patterns involve not just appearance of text, but also its purpose. For instance, a research paper, a political speech, a personal email, each have unique qualities ranging from their organization and word of choice to who they are meant for and the tone they use. Genre analysis looks at this pattern to figure out how a text is put together. Why do we need to differentiate each genre, or why do we need to understand how text work? It's about moving beyond simple decoding words on a page to a deeper comprehension of how information is organized, why it's presented that way, and what it's trying to achieve. It's essential for both effective writing and reading. When you recognize a text structure, you can easily follow the information that will follow. Another important focus is to find out how a text or communication event relates to its purpose. Genre analysis how texts are created to meet specific goals, like informing, persuading, or entertaining people. This goal looks at how a text connects to what it is trying to say. Every type of writing has a special aim, whether to share information like a news report, to convince someone as in an advertisement, or to entertain like a novel does. When we analyze genre analysis, we see how different types of the text are picked out to meet this aim well. For example, an emergency warning sounds different from a friendly letter or friendly invitation because they serve very different purpose. By understanding this purpose, we can analyze how writers can choose about language, tone, structure, or effectively communicate with their intended readers. Another goal is to see how genres change as time goes by. As society develops, so do the communication need and expectation of the people in them. Looking at genre analysis, we can see how genres shift over time. As our society change, along with technology and the way we communicate, the genres we use also transform. Take the internet for example. It has brought about new forms like blogs, social media, and online memes, each with its unique rules and goals. By focusing on these changes, we can gain a clearer picture of how our communication practices evolve to meet fresh demand and context. In this analysis, we also see how fresh genres pop up and how older ones adjust to changes in technology, culture, and social habits. This perspective reveals how lively communication truly is and what drives its evolution.
So the first characteristic of genre analysis is focus on conventions and features. So this involves examining the typical patterns, structures, and stylistic features that define a genre. So these conventions help the audience recognize and interpret the text correctly. So for example, in a formal letter, features include a greeting, formal language, and a closing signatures. While the second characteristic of genre analysis is a contextual understanding rather. So the contextual understanding, it is analyzing the social, cultural, and historical context in which the genre exists, helps explain why certain features are used and how they serve their purpose. So for example, a political speech often uses persuasive language and appeals to national pride because it aims to influence the public opinion during an election. So the third characteristic of genre analysis is the organization and structure. So these characteristics looks at how a genre arranges its content to achieve its purpose, such as the order of ideas, sections, or stages. For example, a scientific report typically follows a structure: abstract, introduction, methodology, result, discussion, and conclusion. While the fourth characteristic is language and stylistic devices. So this involves analyzing the vocabulary, sentence structure, tone, and rhetorical devices used in a genre which contribute to its overall effect. Example, a poem might use metaphors, rhyme, and rhythmic patterns to evoke emotion. And the fifth characteristic of genre analysis is the purpose and audience. This is the important of characteristic in genre analysis. So this is about understanding what the genre aims to achieve and who it targets, helps explain its particular features and styles. For example, a children's storybook uses simple language and colorful illustrations to entertain and educate young children. So that is the purpose and audience in genre analysis. So the second to the last characteristic of genre analysis is the comparison and contrast. So this is all about analyzing similarities and differences between genres, helps clarify their unique features and how they serve different purposes. Example of this is compare a news article and a blog post about the same event. The news article is objective, structured, and formal, while the blog post is a subjective, informal, and personal. So that is a comparison and contrast. So the last characteristic of genre analysis is the functionality. So finally, this is the last one. So this refers to how well the genre fulfills its specific communicative function within a certain context. For example, an advertisement is designed to persuade consumers to buy a product. So its features include persuasive language, visuals, and slogans. So that's the 7 characteristics of genre analysis. And for the next slide, it discusses about the roles of genre analysis.
Role of genre analysis. So here we have 6 roles of genre analysis. So first is understanding communication. Helps in decoding how different text communications ideas affected within their conventions. So genre analysis help us to see how different kinds of writing or text share ideas in their own style or rules. Example, a news article is written differently from a poem. By analyzing the genre, we understand why they look and sound different but still communicate effectively. This allows the readers to know the purpose behind the text, whether it is to inform, persuade, or entertain. It also helps in identifying the audience being addressed by the writer. In this way, communications becomes clearer and more meaningful. Second, guiding writing and productions. Assist writers in creating texts that conform the genre expectation, making their communication clearer and more effective. So it helps writers follow the right format and style when they create text. Example, if you are writing or doing a research paper, you follow the structure.
like introduction, method, result, discussions. This makes your work clearer and easier for readers to understand. Writers can avoid confusion by sticking to the conventions of genre. It also improves the credibility of their work because readers expect a certain style. In turn, their message becomes stronger and more effective. So third is enhancing critical reading skills enables readers to recognize features, interpret text more accurate, and understand underlying message. So genre analysis trains readers to spot patterns, the hidden message and meaning of the text. It sharpens their ability to think critically. So example, when reading an advertisement, you don't just read the words, you also see how it's trying to persuade you. These skills makes readers more aware of the techniques used by the writer. It also helps them to compare different texts and evaluate their reliability. As a result, reader can form deeper and more informed interpretation. The fourth one is supporting language and literacy development. Aids learners in mastery the conversations of various genres, improving their overall literacy skills. Genre analysis helps learners master the rules and patterns of different genres, which improve their reading and writing skills. Example, when students study how stories, essay, or a report are written, they become better at using the right style in their own writing. This also helps them to expand their vocabulary and grammar. Since each genre has their own language featured. By practicing these conventions, learners become more confident and express ideas. In the long run, it's strengthening both their academic and everyday communication skills. The fifth one is facilitating cross-disciplinary insight, allows analysis of genre across the different fields, academic, media, digital communication, fostering a deeper understanding of how language functions of various contexts. Genre analysis allows us to examine the text across the various fields like academic, media, and digital platform. It depends our understanding of how language work differently in different settings. Example, a scientific article, a news report, and social media posts all use language differently, and analyzing them shows their unique purpose. This helps learners connect language from one field to another, making learning more holistic. It also shows how communication change depends on context and audience. In doing it, broaden person's perspective on how language shape meaning in diverse areas. So the last one is promoting cultural and social awareness. Reveals how genre reflect cultural values, social norms, and power structures within socials. Genre analysis reveals how the text reflect cultural values, social norms, and even the power of dynamics in society. For instance, advertisement often reflect beauty standard, while political speeches highlight social issue and authority. By studying genres, readers becomes more aware of hidden message, or what is the message that influence opinion and behavior. It also helps them to recognize their stereotypes and bias present in the text. With this awareness, people can think more critical about cultural and society.
So, good day everyone. For my part, I will be discussing the applications of genre analysis. Genre analysis, it is not just about studying text for theory, but it is very useful in real life because it helps us to understand and produce texts that are appropriate for different situations. So let me explain some of its applications. So first, we have here academic writing. So in academic writing, the general analysis helps the students understand how academic papers are supposed to be written. For example, the research papers or essays usually have a common structure, like it has a introduction, body, and the conclusion. So Swale's model even shows how introduction normally start broad and then narrow down to the research problem. So in short, it teaches us on how to write in the way professors and scholars expect. The second application is professional communication. So in the workplace, people use different types of documents, right? The business letters, the reports, the contracts, or even the advertisements. So, general analysis helps us to see the common patterns in this text. For example, the business letters or business reports. Business reports has a typical order. It has introduction, details, and conclusion. So by knowing these patterns, professionals can write more clearly and effectively. So the next application is language teaching. So in education, general analysis is very useful in ESP or English for specific purposes. So this means that the students learn English that is directly useful in their future jobs. For example, the nursing students practice writing case reports, while the engineering students practice technical reports. So by this, it helps the learners to focus on the kinds of text they will really use in real life. So the last application is media and digital genres. So nowadays, communication isn't just in books or offices, right? It's also online. So general analysis can be applied to things like social media posts, blogs, reviews, or even memes. So these are also considered genres because they have patterns too. For example, a product review usually has three parts. It has description, opinion, and the recommendations. So understanding this helps us to see how online content is structured to influence or inform us. No? So overall, this genre analysis has many applications. So from academics to professional fields to language teaching and even in new digital genres. So it helps us to connect language with real life communication. So that's it for my part, and thank you.
Now let's move on to the importance of genre analysis. Genre analysis is not only about identifying the type of text, but also about understanding why it matters in communication. So it plays a big role in helping us to write, read, and communicate more effectively. So on this slide, I will explain some of the main reasons why genre analysis is important. So first is it helps us understand how texts are structured in different contexts. So every text has a structure depending on the situation. So the genre analysis helps us see those structures clearly. This matters because knowing the structure makes it easier for us to write properly and read with understanding. Second is improves communication skills by following conventions. Conventions are like rules or norms for a certain type of text. So if we use these conventions, people will understand our message more easily. So following conventions improves our clarity, politeness, and professionalism when we communicate. Third is guides students and professionals in academic workplace writing. So different situations need different ways of writing. Students and workers should know how to adjust or what are their differences. So for example is students should know how to write essays, research papers, and reports, while professionals should know how to make memos, resumes, or proposals. So genre analysis will guide us on what format to use or what words are appropriate and how to deliver our message for each type of writing. Fourth is allows readers to interpret text more effectively. So when you know the genre, you know what to expect. This helps you understand faster. So genre analysis helps us to be better readers because we can spot the writer's purpose, message, and style more easily. Fifth is this supports teachers in writing and reading skills. So teachers can use genre analysis to help students learn step by step. So they can show examples of text, highlight important parts, and explain how each section works. So this makes learning easier because students see the model and copy the pattern before writing their own. Lastly, is shows how language is used differently depending on purpose and audience. So language changes depending on the goal of the text and who will read it. So genre analysis teaches us that the same person can write differently in different situations. So depending on the purpose, whether it is to inform, to request, to persuade, and the audience, it also depends on the audience if it is our friend, boss, teacher, on or in a public. So the genre analysis is important because it helps us understand how texts are organized, improves the way we communicate, and guides us in both school and professional writing. So it also makes the reading and teaching more effective and reminds us that language changes depending on the purpose and audience.
Good day, everyone. So today, I will be talking about a very important topic in discourse analysis, which is the key components of genre analysis. So now, you may be wondering what exactly is genre analysis. So in simple terms, genre analysis is the study of different types of text and how they are shaped by their purpose, audience, context, structure, and other important features. So each genre, whether it is a speech, a news article, or a poem, or even a social media post, follows a certain patterns that make it recognizable. So understanding genre help us not only to become more critical readers, but also to become more effective writers and speakers. So let us go through the 8 components of genre analysis one by one. So the first component is purpose, or also called the communicative goal. So this asks us the question, why was this text written or spoken? So every text has a purpose. So some texts are meant to persuade, such as campaign speeches, or others are meant to inform, like news reports or academic articles. Some are written to entertain, like stories, poems, or even memes on social media. So others are written to celebrate or inspire, like graduation speeches or motivational talks. So for example, if we take a campaign speech, so the purpose is clear. The speaker wants to persuade voters to support them. And meanwhile, in a graduation speech, the goal is usually to celebrate achievement, express gratitude, and inspire classmates to move forward in life. So the second component is we have audience. So every text is written or spoken with a particular group of people in mind. So the audience influences the language, the tone, and the level of formality. So for example, a sermon is shaped for a congregation. So it includes religious references, biblical passages, and moral lessons. So on the other hand, a valedictory speech is directed toward classmates, teachers, and parents. So it often uses a respectful but a heartfelt tone filled with gratitude and inspiration. So when we understand the audience, we can see why the text is worded in a certain way. So a speech is directed at young students. So for example, will use simpler and more encouraging language compared to a speech for business executives. So the third component is context. So this refers to the situation or background in which the text is produced. So context can be social, cultural, or institutional. So for instance, a political rally is a civic context where speeches are full of passion, promises, and persuasive appeals. A graduation ceremony is a formal academic context where respect, gratitude, and inspiration are emphasized. And meanwhile, a casual conversation between friends reflects an informal social context where jokes, slang, and relaxed language are common. So context matters because the same words may mean different things depending on where, when, and to whom they are spoken. And number four, or the fourth component, is we have structure, or also called the organization or moves of the text. So each genre has predictable stages that make it recognizable. For example, a valedictorian speech usually follows first opening, then second we have the reflection, and to be followed by the gratitude, the inspiration, and lastly the closing. For job application letter goes greeting, next is self-introduction, and next to be followed by the qualifications and closing. So a news article follows a headline, the lead, the body, and the conclusion. So the structure guides the audience through the message step by step. So without it, a text may feel disorganized or incomplete. So the fifth component is content, so which refers to the themes, issues, or values emphasized in the text. So this includes the types of information used, whether there are personal stories, data, quotations, humor, or life lessons. So for instance, a motivational speech often includes personal anecdotes, famous quotations, and themes like perseverance, courage, and hope. So on the other hand, an academic article includes research data, statistics, and critical analysis. So the choice of content reflects both the purpose of the text and the expectations of the audience. Number six, or the sixth component, is language features. So which focuses on how language is used in the text. So here we look at the first, the tone, whether it is a formal, informal, celebratory, persuasive, or academic. The second one, we have vocabulary, whether it is emotive, technical, or academic. Number three, the pronouns. Words like we, you, they that show solidarity, authority, or distance. And lastly, the rhetorical devices such as repetition, metaphors, anecdotes, or rhetorical questions. So for example, a political speech often uses repetition and collective pronouns like we and our to build unity. So a sermon may use metaphors or rhetorical questions to make the audience reflect. And number 7, or the 7th component, is style and delivery. So this differs depending on whether the text is spoken or written. So in spoken genres, delivery involves tone of voice, the pacing, the gestures, the eye contact, and even humor. So think about how a TED Talk uses storytelling, the pauses, and the hand movements to connect with the audience. In written genres, style appears through formatting, the headings, the citations, and the visual design. So an academic paper, for instance, follows strict citation rules, while a blog post may use emojis, casual tone, and pictures. So the style and delivery ensure that the message is not only clear but also engaging and memorable. And lastly, finally, the 8th component is conventions of the genre. So these are the rules or expectations to make a genre recognizable. So for example, a graduation speech is expected to thank teachers and parents, and leaving this out would break the convention. Excuse me. So a news article must present facts must present facts clearly and avoid personal bias, or if it contains too much opinion, it may lose credibility. Next one, also example, love letter is expected to be emotional and affectionate. If it were written in purely technical language, it would sound strange. So conventions help audiences immediately recognize the type of the text they are engaging with. So sometimes writers or speakers break conventions for creativity, but too much deviation can confuse or even disappoint the audience. And to summarize everything, the key concepts, or the key components rather, of genre analysis are: first, we have purpose, why the text was created. The second, we have audience, who the text is for. The third one is context, so the situation surrounding the text. Number 4, structure, how it is organized. Number 5, content, what themes or topics are included. Number 6, language features, how language is used. Number 7, style and delivery, how it is presented. And lastly, number 8, conventions, the rules or expectations of the genre. So by analyzing text through these 8 components, we gain a deeper understanding of not just what a text says, but how and why it communicates its message. So this makes us more critical readers, more effective communicators, and more mindful of the genres we encounter every day. So genre discourse analysis helps us see not just what a text says or what a text says, but how and why it says it based on its genre. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Today I will be presenting a genre discourse analysis of the graduation speech delivered by Romel Arubang. He is a top UPLB graduate on June 27, 2019. And let us first read his speech. Good morning, everyone. Honored guests, members of the faculty, my fellow distinguished graduates, class of 2019. Good morning and welcome. When I was informed by the graduate school to deliver a speech, I had a mixed emotions when I started writing this speech. I was clueless. I don't know what to share and talk about. Then, I settled by making it something from the heart. I can't tell you the absolute truth, but I can tell you what I believe in. This is my personal truth. I believe that all of us have a unique definition of life. All of us have different paths to take and different journeys to follow. All of us are different, and yet we all have one thing in common. We have our families. One way or another, we belong to one, and this is where I gained my truths. My family is far from typical, but mine is the perfect one for me. They are the foundations of my truth. They are the threads of my identity. Thanks to my grandmothers, Mama Bebing and Mama Bullet, I learned how to wake up early every day. School days were never good to me because I wanted some more time to sleep, but my grandmothers patiently prepared everything. They made my breakfast and tidied up my things. At that time, all of what they have been doing were a common thing for me. But now, I realize that all their sacrifices made of who I am today. I grew up in a place where the shore meets the rice fields. Lolo Carlito went to his rice field before sunrise with my childhood friend, his Carabao. After plowing the field all day long, he would greet me with a wide smile on his face and hug me with his muddy arms as if he was never tired. He is a very hardworking man and a jolly person as well. I became an agricultural engineer because of my grandfather. I saw his struggles growing up. Planting rice was never easy, but my grandfather was passionate in what he was doing. I remembered him saying, "Kung hindi ako magtatanim, ano ang kakainin ng mga tao?" I met so many farmers just like my grandfather, and they have the same stories. Stories of struggles but not giving up. I believe that it is high time to acknowledge every Filipino farmers for providing food for everyone and that they are one of the pillars of our country. My goal is to help the agricultural sector uplift the lives of our farmers. For my Lolo Carlito, thank you, and I am honored to be a farmer's grandson. My late grandfather, Papa Frank, and my mother, Mama Mitzi, are both overseas Filipino workers. I grew up only seeing them for a short period of time every year. They needed to work abroad to sustain our family. Through Papa Frank's sacrifices and support, I graduated in college. My mother gave birth to me when she was just 15, and because of that, I made a special bond with her. She is my best friend. Before pursuing my master's degree, I suffered from a quarter-life crisis and life was never good to me. I suffered from depression for more than a year, and my mother was my light. Every time that I gave up believing in myself, she was there, encouraging me to move forward. For every "Kaya mo yan," my mother cheered me up. She gave me infinite second chances every time I felt like giving up. Thank you, Mama, for that unconditional love. Thank you for being my cape when I decided that I wanted to fly again. Now, I may not be at the top, but I am still going up. My family may not be perfect, but they are more than enough. They are my comfort blankets, they are my strengths. To my other family here in UPLB, thank you for all the memories and simple truths that I will forever treasure. To Dr. Rosana Marie C. Amongo, thank you for being my mentor. I learned so much from you, Mom. Sincere gratitude is also extended to the members of my guidance committee, to the faculty members who became my professors, to my batchmates and friends who serve as my support group in this journey, to the IAE family and the AMD family. Thank you very much. To all the family and friends who are with us today, and to those who could not be here in person as we celebrate this momentous event, thank you. To my fellow graduates, the Master of Science graduating class of 2019, I challenge you to think of what your purpose is. What are your personal truths? I encourage you to think about your families every time you make a move. For every decision you make, think about your families. To those who have children, think of them. Think about their future. Make them your priorities, and you will never be in vain. Through the knowledge and experiences we have gained not only in our journey here in UPLB, but the entirety of our lives, I aspire that we could use it for the benefit of all. Upon the acceptance of our diplomas, we have the responsibilities to our society and to the world we are living in. I believe that we have the capabilities to uplift the lives of others. We could make ripples of change. We should aspire to be the forces that create good in this world for better future of mankind. So now, let us apply the different components of general discourse analysis. So I think the previous reporter mentioned that there are 8 components of general discourse analysis. So we have the purpose, the audience, context, structure, content, language features, delivery and style, and conventions of the genre. So now let's talk about the purpose, or what are the intended or what is the intended message of the speaker. Does he want to inform? Is it to inform, to persuade, to motivate, to inspire, to argue, or to challenge? So in his speech, there are 3 main purposes of the speech. So we have number 1, to inspire. Second is to express gratitude. And lastly, to challenge his fellow graduates. So in the first one, he seeks to motivate his classmates by urging them to reflect on their personal truth. And the second one is he thanks his family, his mentors and peers throughout his journey. And the third one is he calls on his fellow graduates to use their knowledge for the benefit of the society. Like, there are lines there that he said, we could make ripples of change. We should aspire to be the forces that create good in this world. So the second one is audience, or the receiver of his message. So there are multiple audiences here that is mentioned in his speech. So let's break it down into two, which are primary audience and secondary audience. And the primary audience is basically he addressed it to his fellow graduates or his fellow graduating class of 2019. And the secondary audience includes the family members, the faculty, the UPLB community, his mentors, distinguished guests, and we can see it here. This is clear from the very beginning of his speech. He said that, "Good morning everyone, honored guests, member of the faculty, my fellow distinguished graduates, class of 2019, etc." So he is aware of different groups and he addressed them individually. So that is the audience. We have the primary audience and secondary audience. So the third one is context. So what is the context of the speech? So basically the context is, he is giving a speech and it talks about the graduation ceremony at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. It is a well-known, prestigious institution known for its agricultural programs. So the context is directly related to Filipino because he highlights he emphasizes the family, the sacrifices, and the community responsibility. For example, if you recall the story of his grandfather, the struggles as a farmer, and his grandfather said, "Kung hindi ako magtatanim, ano ang kakainin ng mga tao?" This statement portrays the reality or what is happening in rural life in the Philippines. It highlights the social value of agriculture. So the fourth one is structure. So how he organized the points there in this speech. Like he started with opening greeting, "Good morning everyone," etc. And then he went from formal greeting to personal reflection. Like he said, he had a mixed emotions and he settled it by making it something from his heart. And then sharing of personal truths, experiences, his lessons, and his family stories. And the next is his acknowledgements to his mentors, faculty, friends, and UPLB community. And in the last part, he challenged his fellow graduates. He challenged them to think what is your purpose, think of your personal truth. And lastly, he ended it with closing vision. Like the line there, that aspiration. We have the line there, the aspiration. Like he said, we should aspire to be the forces that create good in this world for better future of mankind. So that is the structure. Now let's talk about the fifth one, the content. It talks about the themes or the topics. So he talked about the family as the foundation of values. Like he said, the line, "They are the threads of my identity." And we also do his grandfather is a hardworking farmer, and he was inspired of it. He was inspired and recognized. He was inspired and recognized he recognized their role in nation building. And another one is the sacrifice of OFWs, particularly his mother, and his personal struggles, resilience, like he suffered from depression and how he recovered through his mother's encouragement na kaya mo yan, and also gratitude to his mentors, professors, and peers. And number 6 is language features. It includes the tone, like the tone. Is it neutral? Is it humble? So the tone in his speech is, number 1, inspirational, it is humble and emotional, because he used words that can connect with Filipinos, especially to the farmers, real life stories about the parents of a child who work in abroad. And then he used words that are, he used Filipino words like kaya mo yan to emphasize, culturally speaking, because we are Filipino, they use English, we use English and Tagalog. So it emphasizes like it is more genuine or authentic if we say it in our native tongue or native language. And the rhetorical devices is he used repetition, like all of us have different paths, all of us are different. And he addressed it directly, speaking straight to his classmates with questions and challenges and inspiring them, and so on. And the 7th one is the style and delivery. So the style, he started from formality, and mainly his style is, it is all about storytelling. He started with his personal stories. His, like yung in the line he said that he had a mixed emotions and he didn't know what to say or what to talk about. He doesn't have any clue at all. And the style is, it is conversational, like it is more on casual, yet it is respectful, balancing intimacy and formality. Why we say intimacy? Because he used words that connects with emotions, especially towards his family members. He narrates his struggles, the sacrifices of his family. And the speech relied on pauses, like there are parts in his speech that use ellipses, like three dots to emphasize pauses, to emphasize sincerity, and to highlight the important points in his speech. And lastly, we have conventions of the genre. So the speech followed these conventions. He started with formal greeting at the start, and then he moved towards sharing a personal journey to inspire his peers or his fellow graduates. And then he expresses his gratitude towards his mentors and supporters and family members. And then the last, giving advice or challenge to fellow graduates, and ending with a hopeful vision for the future. So that's all for the dissecting and applying the different components of general discourse analysis. And thank you.